Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It is my birth month. I will not be telling you exactly how old I am. I'm 40. I'm gonna be 40. So, yeah. So sometimes I look my age. Sometimes I definitely feel my age, and sometimes I don't. And this conversation is going to be about the progression and the development of the human being over the course of life. Since a lot of us are going to be turning 40 this month, I thought that I would talk about some of the reflections that I have had over the course of the year, actually, leading up to this moment where, I am going to it's going to be actually official that I'm no longer telling people that I'm 40 and I'm actually not 40. Yes, I'm one of those people that does that a lot, like 39. I've been calling myself 40 since I was probably 37 or maybe 35. I don't know. I just couldn't wait, and I don't know why I couldn't wait because most women are the opposite. They want to remain young and, you know, identify as 30s and not 40-ish. Anyways, so let's get into the video because you're not here for that. Although that introduction I think is quite useful for this topic. The first 10 years of life is a time where you are just starting out to understand the difference between you, your family, and society. And 10 years of age is actually a very key point in a person's life. Now, parents, listen to this very carefully. If you have a child who is under 10 or approaching 10, this is useful information because it helped me to appreciate some of the very testing moments in my parenting with my younger daughter. Some of the things that I find sometimes to be challenging in my development as a person came through a level of maturity as a parent. And one of the reasons why I've learned to appreciate my daughter as much more so than before is because it's a second opportunity to do things better as a parent, but it's also a great time to celebrate the joys of being a child. When you look at a child, it's very inspiring actually to see how they are excited by everything. They get over things so quickly. And if you are following this channel, then you already know that I talked about this maybe in one of my shorts, the childlike self. I think I've talked about it also in a Patreon. I'll look for it and I'll try to link it in this video. But this is a beautiful time for adults to be a part of because there is a wonderful innocence and a wonder about the world, and uncovering that with your child is a beautiful experience. It's actually a healthy reminder that keeps us young to lighten up. It's also a very challenging time because it's the time, if your daughter or son is coming up on 10, where they have finally got their first sense and taste of individuality and identity. They will no longer be crying at the drop of a hat as much as before if you're doing your job properly. They will no longer be wanting to spend as much time with you as they would have before. These are not my words. This is just what the clinical psychologists say about a person's development. Is 10 is the moment that a person comes up, or not comes up, but realizes that your individuality and your mortality as a parent is not finite. When we are young, we see our parents in a light that is beautiful and admirational and inspiring. And when a person usually comes upon the age of 10, they start to have other role models and other people that they look up to. You might still be one of them, but they start to see themselves in society and not just a part of the family. And I can remember that feeling, and realizing that feeling. There was a lot going on at the time when my first eldest daughter turned 10 years old. And I could remember distinctly feeling like maybe I should have been a little bit more present. I was happy to be present at 10. I think it has really improved our relationship to be more present and to be more available to her. But I definitely could sense that there was a strong sense of need to be an individual. and having more opinions and wanting to be more independent when she turned 10 years old. It's fascinating and amazing. By the time you turn 20, when I turned 20, I thought I knew everything. And to make matters worse, when I turned 21, I got pregnant with my first child. So I really thought I knew everything. On one hand, I was being blessed with a huge opportunity and to be responsible for another human being, and I welcomed that opportunity with open arms and a lot of excitement. It was a transitional time for me, especially to be in a special rites of passage moment as an adult. Now you are responsible for things like rent, career, license, and even parenthood. It was definitely an overwhelming feeling of you are literally 100% no longer a child. Everything that you do from here on out is on of your accord and is your responsibility, and you're the one who has to be accountable for this life and for your own. And that for me um took the rest of my 20s to figure out how to do and how to really separate my adulthood life from my motherhood life. Like, I'm still a person and I'm still a woman, and those things are not necessarily always attached to each other. Sometimes they're exclusive from each other, and sometimes they're completely joined. And my womanhood came um, my womanhood was definitely a huge part of my motherhood, and vice versa. And unpacking those different rites of passages would be what took up most of my 20s till about 25. Um, and then as I started to approach my late 20s, I started to notice a lot of different things that my mentors were putting into my perspective and sharing with me about their rites of passage journey. And I want to share this with you because it's super important as you start to push up on 20 to take more accountability and responsibility for the direction of the life that you want to go in. I wasn't very clear on that. And of course, most people in their 20s are not. But if you have good mentors and good people in your life who are invested in seeing you succeed, even when you are resistant to that teaching, then you are going to be okay. When I was in my 30s, I started to slow down on my career because I think by 26 years old, that I wanted to be married. And I had a lot of marriage fails. You guys know about some of them because I've talked very openly on my channel about some of the relationship shenanigans that I went through. So I spent the greater part of my late 20s trying to figure out how I was going to have family because that became more important to me than my career. I still wanted to have a career and I still wanted to finish school, but that being something that was a defining issue in my life was something that needed my immediate and complete attention. And I could have failed even worse. I made a complete 180 on my life and lifestyle choices in order to accommodate a husband and more children. And I'm not going to talk about that now, but the 30s is definitely a midpoint in a man and a woman's life that says to the world, here I am, this is what's important to me, and this is what I want to invest for the rest of my life. And it's not until you get to your 40s, I am talking to a lot of people about this, and this is the general consensus. This is not my personal opinion, although I can agree with certain aspects of this. But a lot of people say that it's not until you're in your 40s when it may be too late for a lot of us, especially women, to change things into a different direction if you are finding yourself regretting certain decisions that you've made, whether it be about family, career path, or any other thing. I think those are the two big main ones that I hear people talk about a lot, is that you become solidified and calm, let me say calm or comforted or both, in the choice that you have made in your 30s that you then decided to invest in for the next 10 years. Now, If you reach to this point, like I am right now, and you find yourself in a situation of deep regret because you didn't or did do things that were not in alignment with your core values, because maybe you spend too much time or not enough time really unpacking and practicing more greater self-awareness, um, this is going to speed up the level of anxiety in your life because you will be in a situation where you are not having the things that you want and you will be not able to do very much about changing. Now, that sounds very harsh and cruel. Question on a lot of people's minds right now, I'm sure it's on somebody's mind right now, is that do I regret things that I've done in my life or didn't do? And I'm sure that, I can answer that in great detail. I could say definitely there were some things that I would have wanted to have done differently, and I struggle with maybe thinking that it had to be done the way it had to be done because the person that I was in my 20s and 30s even is not the person that I am today. And if I had been a different person then, the outcome may or may not have been what I have experienced. And I'm quite satisfied with some of the outcomes that I've had in my life. And with each outcome or with each decision comes a similar and equal reaction or outcome. And I don't know if I could have gotten the same level of outcome if I had made different decisions in my life. That makes any sense. These decisions have a lot to do with career path, family, even down to getting married or not. I often find myself thinking, looking back, if I made the right decision by getting married, I don't really think I would have wanted to make a different decision. So far, for the most part, most days, I'm happy with being a married woman. For the most days, for the most part, I'm happy that I have children. And I could get into why that is um uh in more detail, but course, that is a whole conversation for a different time. Only to say that being in your 40s and approaching 40s, approaching 40 has definitely been a bitter sweet journey for me, as I feel like there may be a lot of time when it comes to certain things, and I've learned to slow down and really enjoy my life more and not be rushing and rushing for everything. Enjoy my family, enjoy my parents, enjoy my children, enjoy my husband, and not just always be looking forward to goals and setting goals, because the truth of the matter is that I've learned that life is what happens when you're making plans. It's the everyday, it's the day-to-day things that really makes the most out of your experience. And on the other side, sometimes it feels like life is happening so fast, and we shouldn't forget to enjoy some of the things that we have been gifted with. I particularly was very sensitive to the fact that my daughter just turned 18 this year. And I still very vividly remember her as a 3-year old and as a 5-year old and as a 10-year old. And now she's going to be 20 in 2 years. Our situation is so that I had the great opportunity of being more present even while later in her life, but still being more present in her life. And that is one of the things as a mother, even as a person, if she wasn't my child, if I had like a friend that I wasn't giving more time to or time enough to, because I'm so busy striving for achievement and accomplishment. Taking the time out in my late 30s, I would say mid 30s, early 30s, um, really helped me to gain a lot of clarity as to what it is that was important for me. And the rest of my 30s was building up and learning how to have courage to live my life on my terms. And I know a lot of people never get there. They just keep their heads down and do what they have to do without really looking up or challenging some of their beliefs and values that they've acquired over a period of time. But know this, you can change. It doesn't have to be something drastic. You don't have to wait for something drastic to happen to change, although studies show that that's what usually moves us. but you can start right now to live the life that is more meaningful to you. The bottom line for me is that I would have already lived um, half of my life already. And looking back, I want to cultivate from my experiences more of the things that bring me the most joy and eliminate as many of the things in my life that bring me the least joy. I hope this has been a very inspirational and encouraging video for you guys who are turning 30 this year, who are turning 40 this year. If you have children who are somewhere in this personal development journey, please take the advice that I've been giving in this video into consideration when you are looking at some of the things that they do that aggravate or irritate you, and learn to be more careful and caring and forgiving of yourself. And if you can, of course, as always, stay safe and stay free.